What if you could have a panel of experts reviewing every piece of work that you produce and not only giving you very useful feedback, but also giving you suggestions on how you can make it better? It could be a tax specialist or a judge on a panel that's going to assess your grant request or your submission. It could be a risk expert for contracts that you're writing or signing, or it could be a specialist in your policies that checks that what you did matches your policies, or a plain language editor that makes sure that what you're writing is understandable for your clients. Last week, I spent a lot of time inside one of Australia's largest research institutes, and we worked on strategy and tools and automations with AI and risk and a lot of things, but also we spent a lot of time with a whole team of hundreds of people looking at great prompting techniques that improve our workflows. I'm going to show you one of these, and I'm going to show how I do it in Microsoft Copilot and also where it applies in Claude and in the other tools. The gold is not in specifically my prompt or how I do it. The gold is in the idea and in how you make it repeatable so it becomes frictionless. So while you're watching, think about where it applies in your process and look at how to make it repeatable and easy. So here we are in Microsoft Copilot, and I told Copilot, you are a senior grant reviewer for the National Health and Medical Research Council, the body that funds research. With 20 years of experience, you are direct, rigorous, and you do not soften feedback. Review the following grant abstracts for clarity, evidence gaps, and likelihood of funding success. Highlight anything a reviewer would flag. And I pasted the abstract that I want reviewed. And what came back? Well, it says, senior panel member, I am assessing this as a competitive national scheme application. And it says, this abstract is generic to the point of interchangeability. The rationale is absent. It talks about lack of justification. It talks about a topic that is already heavily studied. It talks about the primary outcome timing is inconsistent with the trial length, and it goes on and in a lot of detail on what's not okay, not present, and the likelihood of funding success, it says, is frankly very low. Okay then, so let's look at what to do next. So let's imagine I then go home and do my homework and I rewrite my funding request better. I'm not going to ask it to write it better because it doesn't know enough about my work. I go, how about this one? And then I paste a better piece of work that I've done. Yeah, rewritten the thing. And it comes back and says, oh, this version is materially stronger. It still has potential deal breakers. Let's have a look. And it just lists the things that are not okay now. And for example, it says if it's aimed at the ideas grant, you've got a structural problem. And then it talks about other types of grants. It has some reviewer flags, the biggest credibility risk, but we're in a much better place than what we were before. So now I can go through all these suggestions and improve even further, and I can repeat and repeat and repeat until I get a very good result. At this point, when it's really, really good, I'd probably go to a human reviewer and get them to look at it, but I saved a lot of time by doing all these iterations internally. But now I want to make sure that it's really easy for me to use it every time I need this, and I don't have to go and remember what to write, and it becomes a bit harder. So here's how I would do it in Microsoft Copilot, and we can do it in all the other AIs as well. In Microsoft Copilot, I'd take this description of the persona, that reviewer persona that I have, and let's bring that in. And I'll go here on my left navigation bar and I'll create a new agent. And don't worry, there's nothing technical about this. This exists in Copilot Premium and also in Copilot Basic. I'll give it a name. So this will be my abstract reviewer. And a description. The descriptions are mandatory because once we start creating these agents, we're later able to have other agents call these agents. And so they need to know what this agent does. And all I need to do in the instructions is put that persona that I described. It can be a short description, it can be a long description, doesn't matter. And that's it. If I have documents like sample grant reviews or policies we need to comply with, I can attach them here as knowledge. But that's it, that's all I need to do. And I can create it. Now that reviewer is sitting here on the left navigation panel for me. And the next time I have a similar task, I don't need to remember the persona, I don't need to describe and explain it. I can just paste here my abstract or the thing that I need reviewed and hit send. And that's it. Because what happens behind the scenes is that Copilot takes that persona that I described as part of this agent and sticks it to this text that I submitted. And it will do my review for me. If I were working with Claude, which I am working with all the time recently, and I think we should all do that, even if it's a little research on the side, because it's showing us in amazing ways how AI is coming into our world. In Claude, I would create skills. And here is a skill called Brad Hodge. Brad Hodge is a dear friend and also the smartest ever behavioral change expert and knows a lot about psychology of change. And with his blessing, I took some transcripts of our conversations and the advice that he's given me, and I created a skill for Claude that knows how to review my work with some of the expertise of Brad. So that means that now in a conversation with Claude, wherever I am during that conversation, I can ask, what would Brad say? And get that opinion. And by the way, that sort of works in Microsoft Copilot too, because in any conversation I have, down, long through the conversation, I can always bring up any one of my agents, let's say my income tax reviewer agent, and continue the conversation. What would they say? And that basically just brings that prompt into the conversation, and any attached document brings all that knowledge, all that context into the conversation. We continue from there. So what does that mean for you? Where in your process can you create a reviewer skill or agent or capability or context that can help you in your work? What about reviewing tax returns? What about reviewing contracts? What about reviewing marketing material? I have these agents and skills that review my workshops, that review my writing, that review my executive briefings, that review my ideas and my thoughts, all of that. And how we create them? Well, for me, one of the best ways is once I've had a long conversation with AI on a topic and we go to somewhere good, I'd go, right, can you now write this for the next time? Sometimes it's worth recording ourselves talking about how we review a topic, transcribing that, and making that into the prompt. And every time we use it, we can go and update that agent or skill or whatever it is, so that we add to it little things and it becomes better and better at working with us. We can bring back the results of what we did, comments we got from other people, or just our own ideas to make it better all the time. In ChatGPT, you'd probably create a custom GPT. I think this can become a bit better in ChatGPT. The way Claude does it with those skills is just beautiful and so easy to use. The same with Gemini, you've got gems, you've got all these capabilities coming in, all these different tools. And what you need to do is actually use them. I am Inbal Rodney, and if you found this helpful, I invite you to come visit inbal.com.au/events and see what we can do together and how we can work on these things in a room or in a virtual room and get so much done, because the magic is not in the ideas and knowledge. The magic is in the implementation. So let's get it done.